The twerp was in Antwerp. Sir Jim, what are you talking about? Stick to football, lad. Welcome back to 2 Hours, 2 Innings Football. Special episode just talking about the controversial comments that Sir Jim allegedly made. I had an interview with Sky News or Sky Sports the other day, and somehow the topic of UK being colonised by immigrants who are costing too much money. I don't know how that conversation ended up. I haven't watched it or listened to the full interview. If I'm honest, that came up. Subsequently, Keir Starmer has said he's been offensive and wrong. The mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has kind of criticised him. So has the leader of Liberal Democrats. The Manchester United fan group have kind of called him out. And Manchester United themselves have released a statement, although they didn't actually name Sir Jim, but saying that Manchester United prides itself on being an inclusive and all-encompassing club. So it appears that they've kind of thrown their minority share owner under the bus. But boys, what are your thoughts on that? Well, on Sir Jim's comment, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of interview I think he did was kind of in Antwerp. I think it was with a reporter, and they was just discussing about the UK finances or UK kind of economy, and kind of listening to the interview he did. Obviously, he stated that around about 9 million people are on benefits, and if you've got something like that in your system, then it's not going to make the economy grow. And he was talking about that the fact that the UK has effectively been colonized by immigration now. So that is a key sentence right there. I think that a lot of people have certainly been triggered, certainly been affected by, was the word of colonization. And now us three, we're British Indian. Rohit, obviously, you came to the UK. Myself coming from Bradford, a very multicultural city, having lived there for the best part of like 30 odd years. And, you can kind of see and understand the points in which that Jim Ratcliffe was kind of talking about, the changing of demographics, the changing of certain spaces within the UK, certain major cities. But it's kind of ironic for someone of Jim Ratcliffe's kind of stature to kind of use the word colonize. And obviously, when you react to that as like an Indian person, you kind of think, hang on a minute, you don't know anything about what colonization means. Like,
Yeah.
India was colonized by the British, and the whole kind of definition of that was of a foreign entity invading, implying their will, kind of opposing their own will, and also, in effect, financially extracting from that land as well, from what they did, to the likes of India, to the likes of Africa. So I don't think that immigration in the UK has colonized or done anything of that sort. A lot of people would say immigration has added value or added, diversity in the workspaces, into the cultural aspects of the UK. And also, if you look at the things like the Premier League is the most multicultural, diverse, system or industry in the country. You look at Man United players. I mean, we've got Portuguese, we've got Brazilian, we've got African, we've got South American, European. So I don't understand what Jim Ratcliffe's kind of meaning of that terminology
It's not
was.
even
I think it was
players,
really
Ajay.
poor.
It's not even players. There are a lot of like
Staff
physios. There are a lot of
members,
things like
yeah, exactly.
Indians,
The cooks, the
Asians,
cleaners, anything.
yeah.
And I think what he was basically trying to, and this is the problem I think with Jim Ratcliffe, whether or not if he politicizes Manchester United now, and my kind of initial feeling was Nigel Farage is a supporter of Jim Ratcliffe, and Jim Ratcliffe actually was a supporter of Labour. Said nice things about Keir Starmer, but I think maybe he's slightly shifted towards maybe a right wing view, and to the likes of reform. That's what he was alluding to in the comment, saying that, well, whoever's going to be in power, they're going to be slightly disliked because they're going to have to make the tough choices. So maybe he was alluding to his affiliation or maybe support for a party like Reform, and to have that slight right wing view or those type of views surrounding Manchester United could be quite damaging or dangerous to the club, because, like Amit said, it's a club that prides itself on unity and diversification. So I don't think it looks really good for a shareholder of United to be throwing the political hat into the United framework, and being someone of colour, it's really hard to kind of really support a team knowing that the boss or the share owner is potentially having slight views of his view of immigration, which is certainly very divisive and talked about, content and subject in the UK, because it divides a lot of opinion and it divides a lot of people on it. So I mean, Rohit, how would you have read that comment from what Jim Ratcliffe said?
You know what? Again, like you said, Ajay, very aptly put that colonization. People don't even know what does it mean. Ask people in South Asia what colonization mean. Ask people in Africa what colonization means. So they will tell you. All this. Even in when I came to this country, and touch wood, so far I've been working and contributing to the society, contributing to the wealth of Britain, right? Paying my taxes and paying everything, touch wood, and then working hard. I'm not taking any benefits. I think we don't know what does it mean by colonization. We don't know what does it mean by immigrants either, because immigrants could be a lot of people, but we don't know the actual context. He said immigrants. There are a lot of people, British people, who take benefits as well, not only immigrants. So we don't know what does it mean when he said, oh, immigrants and benefits and blah blah.
Yeah.
We can't. We have to be curious here and little bit understand what does it mean by that.
Yeah, we have to be careful. And I'm sorry, Rohit, just to interject, because I was
Yeah.
doing some reading on the government website that obviously the population of the UK, if you kind of say around about 70 million, there's around 7% that claim benefits. Okay, so there's about approximately about 7 million on universal credit. If we use that figure, of the 7 million, 86.9%, I think it was, is of a white, what people classify themselves as white ethnic ethnic group. So there is an overwhelming 8 out of 10 people who are on benefits in the UK that are what they would associate themselves as being of a white ethnic nationality. Okay, so white British. Then if you look at the sub kind of categories as well, where you have EU settlement schemes, so again, people from the EU, of that 7 million, so 86.9% of that was, like I said, white ethnic. Then it's about 14. I think it was around about the second highest number was then the EU settlement group. Only those that are kind of like on undisclosed visas or immigrants that you might see on the headlines, more like on those that are coming from the boats or unclassified, that only makes up like a 1.2%. So it's a very small number that really I think that's what he was trying to basically say, was all these illegal immigrants who are coming over, who are staying on these migrant hotels. I think that's what he was trying to. He was trying to basically explore. Yeah, he was trying to basically put a huge magnifying lens on something really small of a number, because obviously it's just hyper polarized in the news. I mean, we're just seeing a lot of this when it comes to the migration, illegal migrants, especially those on the boats, and that's just kind of getting blown up into the media. So I think it was probably a very poor choice of word, because if you actually look at the grand text, the grand scheme of it, or the grand numbers of it, it actually makes a very, very tiny percentage of people who are actually claiming benefits, who have possibly come to this country via illegal routes, or routes that are not seen legal by the government, such as visas or student visas or spousal visas or settlement schemes via work visas.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people like myself, right, who come here into this country, contributed to society, like I said earlier, and made a name for themselves, and gone into good places within the British culture. So I don't see, again, I don't have anything, because I don't know where he's coming from. I haven't read his interview. I haven't watched his interview. I don't know where he's coming from. But I can only say from myself, right, as an immigrant here. And I accepted the culture. I accepted British culture. I still, obviously, my beliefs as an Indian Hindu, my beliefs are Hinduism and Sanatan, and but I accepted British culture. I enjoy this. And this is why I'm here. I'm contributing. I'm working. I'm paying taxes. Everything doing legally.
But Rohit,
Nothing.
in defense of Sir Jim, though, I don't think it's people like you that are the issue. The issue
No.
from
I'm saying, so if you
yeah,
say immigrants, I'm immigrant. If he means by
yeah,
immigrant, this is why we need to understand what does he
yeah,
mean by
yeah.
immigrant
But
and what does he mean by
you're not costing
colon.
you
Yeah,
as an immigrant. If you're
yeah.
going to classify yourself as an immigrant, okay, you haven't cost the UK nation any money. Just like we said that, Ajay, I agree with your stats that fair enough that 85% of those who are seeking benefits are British Caucasians, but they could argue, and rightly so, that well they were born into this country, so that's their
Yeah.
birth given right. It's not whether you agree with it or not, but then that is
Yeah,
their birth given
but
right
Yeah.
compared to
But
someone coming across. Immigration is vital for any. If you look at football, which is what or sport. If it wasn't for immigration, we wouldn't be having Umbemo, Kuno, Sesko. Leading
Premier League
the.
wouldn't be the Premier League then.
Exactly.
no, it
Premier
wouldn't
League will
It
no
exactly.
was
one will be
the
watching the
Premier League
Premier League.
became the
Yeah,
Premier League
yeah,
once it
because
became
of the
once
immigration. Yeah,
people like Cantona,
yeah,
Henry,
yeah.
Bergkamp,
They
etc.
all came in. Yeah, yeah.
Ginola,
But
Asprilia, all these players started coming.
yeah, another thing is
That
that
gave
word,
the
isn't it? This
global
is
appeal.
what I mean. We don't know his word, but because when somebody from Europe goes to another country, they become expats. But if a brown person comes in, they become immigrant. So if you have to see, guys, where are things coming from?
It's the terminology, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
divisive. It can be
and
portrayed with a slight negative skew
I
when you use the word immigrate as
yeah,
opposed to expat. Exactly. Yeah.
exactly. And I see a lot of things we said, let's divide and rule. Let's divide and rule, right? That was the colonization when they came in to
That
South
was a
Asia.
colonial
Divide
tactic.
and
Yeah.
rule, divide and rule. I have to correct a lot of my team. Say, guys, don't use this word. Use unite and build, right?
Yeah,
We are not here to divide and
Mm.
rule. We're here to unite and build. Divide and
yeah,
Yeah.
rule is all the colonization mindset.
yeah.
So
And I
anyway,
think if we
regardless,
even if we take Jim Ratcliffe's
No,
like
that's a
comments to the
really good
side,
yeah,
way to
I
finish.
think
yeah,
yeah. And I think one thing I just clearly just wanted to say really quickly is that sport over anything is a tool that does unite and build people. You don't have to affiliate or have any kind of proof of documentation or proof of allegiance to support a club. You could just pick up one day and just say, I support Man United, I support Arsenal, and you could follow that team and you go buy a ticket. They're not going to look at your skin color. They're not going to look at your passport to gain entry into the Emirates, to gain entry into Old Trafford. And that's a beautiful thing about sports. I mean, when I went to Old Trafford, I met up with Saeed TV. Like he just tapped me on the shoulder and he saw me with my mic, and I got a 2 minute conversation with him. There's nothing that would not happen on a normal day on the street when I was walking on my lunch break. That's what football does. Football builds relationships. Football connects people. I mean, I
Unites
spoke to
people.
somebody
Yeah.
from Malaysia. That was his first game when we were going to the Everton game. That was his first time, and he brought his family. People all over the world, because football is a global brand recognized industry institute, that you don't have to have any kind of like birth given right to support a club. Obviously, back in the days, obviously, and like you said this before, that football is kind of like seen as a working class man's game. People that were born around the areas of the stadium would go there. So predominantly they would be normally white British. But because it's opened up so much, I mean, if you look at Arsenal, a lot of the fan demographics of people of all different colours and different ethnicities and different backgrounds. So this is the thing. It's like it was such a shock to see someone who's affiliated with Manchester United within the sporting industry and the community to kind of play that card to say, the UK is being colonized by immigrants. And I think that's just it's something that we should tread carefully on when it comes to how we look at these people in the mainstream then, and how their political biases may be interpreted. And
But
if
the
that has
interesting
any
thing is that
implications on Manchester United, the players or the staff, and hopefully that can be put to bed quickly, because I think Man United don't need any other drama any more than it already seems to attract.
yeah, I
I
mean
think he
just
said
to wrap up
sorry.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
think
on,
he
Rick.
said
So,
sorry, isn't it? I'm just reading it
yeah,
now.
he has apologized,
Yeah,
but then
he has
I mean,
apologized for
yeah, he's
offended some
apologized.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, the point is though. I mean, again, we're assuming here, but he would have had some pressure from the sponsors here because they haven't got sponsors for their shirt, the side shirts. I think for next year or something like that. So
Yeah,
people
Cola,
don't
and
want to.
they've even got
People don't
sponsors
want
for
to
the
be.
training kits.
Yeah, that's it. Training kits or something. So but I mean, the strange thing is that is Sir Jim an immigrant at Monaco because I think he resides in Monaco now.
Yeah, he's not paid taxes since 2020. He
Oh,
So
has
if
resides
he?
he if he if he's
187
he's
days.
that concerned about the British economy, maybe he should do as a um, British born individual, then maybe he should come back to the UK and pay his taxes. Why has he decided to settle up in Monaco? It sounds to me like the
It's
twerp spoke in Antwerp. So thanks for listening to this special episode. So if you liked what we've said, please do subscribe and follow. And if you've got any comments to add, please do add them on. We're always interested to hear what you've got to say. But I think, Rohit, you summed it up quite brilliantly in our podcast. Let's unite and build. Until the next time, stay safe, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.